Before I showed you two methods to get bits to stay in the bit holder here, one using a string and one using a magnet. I'd like to compare and contrast those two so you can figure out which one works best for you. All right, let's start with ease of setup. The string takes some tying off here. I've still got this in the most simple possible configuration, but if you were going to keep this on here permanently, you might want to do a little more knotting. The magnet is pretty much as simple as it gets. You just stick it in there. It'll get stuck on the side sometimes, which is a little annoying, but it's not super hard to get it set up. So they're both really pretty easy. I don't know if I would distinguish by the difficulty of setting them up because they're both so easy, but probably the magnet is a little easier if you had to pick one. All right, let's talk about the strength of the grip. So with the string, I really have struggled to even make it fall out. So if I could put this in there, and you see it's a little hard to get in there, but if I put it in there, there's almost nothing I can do to make that come out. So let's use the same, to test it, let's use the same bit on this one. Let's see if I can make it fall out with, yes, and the magnet came out with it. So on strength, I'm gonna have to give that to the string. I think the string pinching down is more force than the magnet gives. Although if you're not smashing it down like I just was, you're probably not gonna notice the difference. All right, let's talk about ease of use here. So the string is harder going in, right? When you're sticking it in, you sort of gotta work it in there so that it pinches the rope down or pinches the string down and then gets stuck in there. Once it's in there, it's pretty strong, but it's kind of hard to get it in sometimes at the beginning. Pulling it out is easy. You just wiggle it a little bit and it'll pop out. For the magnet, I'd say it's the opposite. Putting it in is very easy. Taking it out is more of a pain. So when you put it in, it goes in very easily, right? No problem. You can use it, as we showed before, as long as you don't smash it, it's not gonna pop out. But when you take it out, often the magnet pops out like it did just there. So the solution there is to just put it back in. Usually you can use the same bit. Not always though, sometimes you need something smaller. Like this bit's probably too hard to do that with, but this one I could probably just stick that right underneath and essentially use the magnetism from this to pull it flat. There you go. You can also use something non-magnetic, a little stick or whatever. So you basically need something to get that in. You can work it in there with your finger, although I find it's generally easier to use something to get it flat again. So as far as ease of use goes, I'd probably give it to the string just because the magnet can be pretty annoying, but it's close. For wear and tear, the magnet is the clear winner there. You're not gonna break that magnet. That magnet's gonna come out and yeah, it's gonna move a little bit, but you're not gonna break it. The string though is gonna wear out over time as you push in here and the pressure comes down on that. You're probably breaking fibers each time you do it. You can see a bit here that's already starting to get kind of fuzzy. So you can tell that, with enough use, this is eventually gonna break. So as far as wear and tear goes, this is gonna have to go to the magnet. All right, if you talk about sort of the risk of actually losing the thing you're using to keep the bits in there, probably the string is going to be the winner on this one. The string, I have tied it here very simply, but obviously you could tie it more with a more complex knot and basically ensure that it's not going to go anywhere. So the only way you might lose it is as you wear and tear through there, it might fall out, but at that point you need a new one anyway. So you're probably not going to have a great risk of loss of this part that affixes the bit. The magnet, however, does seem to fall out at times. I've lost one so far, so it doesn't fall out a ton. And you can see here, it's, you got to hit pretty hard. Earlier, you saw it fly out with the bit a bit easier, but when it's in there by itself, it's pretty hard to get out. So it's not at a high risk of loss, but I have lost one. So I'm going to say you're more likely to lose the magnet than you are the string, especially if you tie it on with more complex knots than I've used here. As far as the sightliness goes, I'm gonna have to give that one to the magnet. The magnet's pretty unnoticeable in there. If you're not really looking for it, you wouldn't even think that that's something additional. You would just think that's the bottom underneath. However, the string is always going to be visible. You could trim it down, you could make it smaller, of course, but you're always going to see something there. You could even change the color to better match the metal, better obscure it there. But still, I think you're always going to have something less noticeable, less obtrusive when you're dealing with the magnet as opposed to the string. All right, and last, let's just check the weight. If we got any gram counters out there, I don't think they're going to be very different, but let's just see what happens here. The string does not even register, so that's less than 0.1 grams. The magnet, 0.4. So in either case, we're talking super light, but the string is going to come in a bit lighter. All right, so we've gone through the pros and cons of each of these methods. I think you could go either way. I personally go with the magnet. I like that it's out of the way. I like that it's just sort of hidden in there. And you know, the rare times I need to use a bit, I don't really mind that it comes out because I use bits so rarely with this. But I think you could choose either one based off of the different criteria. Let me know in the comments below what you like or how you've used either of these before. And thanks for watching.